So I know we're getting close to 10:30, but I'll give a few people just a few more minutes to log on. But for this class today, we'll be on our mats, primarily tabletop position, seated position, different maneuvering on the mat, but not so much standing, except for at the beginning. We will do a forward fold at the beginning. So just having your yoga mat or space cleared off and for your workout area available. And I will give some cues on how to use something like a bolster if you don't have a bolster. I have a blanket you can roll up as long as it's nice and tightly rolled up. Gives you a few inches of support. I'll give you a cue on how to use a rolled up blanket in the place of a bolster. Also a block, if you have a block to use, you can. If you also have just like a sturdy water bottle, I will cue us how we can use that for one of our poses, as well as a yoga strap. And again, if you don't have those yoga props, no worries, they're not necessary, just different ways to use them in your practice. So welcome, Josephine, and Durga. Not sure if that's your first or last name, but welcome. So welcome, ladies. My name is Elizabeth. I'm from the Red Lake Nation. And today's practice, I wanted to share a practice to address neck, shoulder, upper back issues. I know a lot of us, that is your first name. Oh, cool. So I know a lot of us have a lot of things that we're doing seated, maybe hunched over, perhaps at a desk. I know my posture isn't always the greatest when I'm seated at work or just seated doing things. So I wanted to give some poses that will help alleviate some tension in our neck, upper back, and shoulder area. So that's what our class will address today. So, and if you have any questions, let me know at the end. I would love to get your feedback, or if you have any ideas for future classes. I think for the remainder of this month, I'll be able to do this time slot, which is nice. It keeps me on a schedule. So let's get started. We'll come to our mats. And you can come either to the top, middle, front. I'm just coming to the back so you can see my body a little bit better. So in our mountain pose, starting off, feet underneath our hips, arms at our sides. A nice grounding pose to begin with, feeling the connection and the stability from the earth beneath us. Taking a few deep inhales and exhales, just grounding us to our place here. And we'll begin connecting some movement with our breath. So arms at our sides, palms facing out. Inhale, bringing your arms overhead. And as you exhale, bringing those arms back down to either side. Just connecting your breath with movement here. So inhale, bringing your arms overhead. Nice, smooth, long inhale. And then exhale, arms come back down. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale. And again, adjusting your practice. Perhaps your breath is longer or shorter than mine, and please make this practice your own. Just continuing to connect your breath with your movement. Okay, a few more times like this. One more cycle, inhale. And then exhale, just letting it all go. Okay, we'll come into our first forward fold. And to begin, we'll bring our arms on either side, palms facing outwards. As we inhale, bring our arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at the waist, forward fold, down towards your mat, fingertips towards your mat, a slight bend in your knees. Nice gentle stretch in our hamstrings here. Letting our upper body be nice and relaxed, our head, neck, shoulders, nice and relaxed, giving our body this opportunity to let our spine decompress in this inversion. Continuing to breathe throughout. When you're ready, bring your hands to your hips. Come back up. I'm prepared to do another forward fold. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hinging at the waist. Coming forward all the way down. Exhale. And as we inhale, we'll come to a half lift. Perhaps our hands come to our shins. Gaze comes a little bit forward. Inhale, and then as you exhale, sinking back down into that forward fold. Letting your spine decompress. And bringing your hands to your hips. Inhale, coming back up. And exhale, back to mountain pose. One more time. We'll do our forward fold. Inhale, bring your arms overhead. Exhale, hinging at the waist. Coming all the way down towards the mat. Perhaps our fingertips are getting closer and closer to the mat. Slight bend in our knees. And our next inhale, coming to a half lift. Then exhale, sinking back down into that forward fold. Okay, and from here, we will walk our hands out in front of us or however we need to come down into a tabletop position. Knees underneath our hips, hands underneath our shoulders. Feeling that stability beneath us. And on our next inhale, we'll sink our belly, coming into cow. And as we exhale, rounding our shoulders, arching our back just a little bit, coming into cat. Letting our exhale come all the way out. And then inhale, coming back down into cow. Gaze comes forward, belly sinks down. And then exhale, pressing up in our shoulders and back. And inhale, back down to cow. And exhale one more time in this way into our cat. Okay, we're going to do a similar series of cats and cow, but we will actually sink down into a child's pose after our cat position. So I will guide us through. Inhale, dropping your belly. Gaze comes forward. Exhale, coming into that cat position, then arching our back and sinking our bottom back down. Keeping our fingertips making contact with the mat. As we exhale all the way. As we inhale, coming back up. And coming back down into our cow position. As we exhale, coming into cat. And slowly, kind of like a wave, sinking back down into a child's pose, keeping your fingertips making contact with the mat, getting a good shoulder stretch. Inhale, back to tabletop, and then sinking down into cow. And then exhale, arching your back, bringing your shoulders towards your ears, and like a wave coming back down into child's pose for just a moment. Okay, one more time in this fashion. Inhale, coming into cow. As we arch our back, coming into cat, like a wave in one fluid motion, perhaps sinking down into child's pose for just a moment. And then we'll meet again in our tabletop position. And then bringing your knees together, feet together behind you, we'll sit back onto our legs for just a moment, preparing. We'll do a good neck stretch here, something called Thunderbolt. Okay, with your right arm, resting it on the small of your back, bring your left arm up overhead, sitting up, bring your bottom up to a straight line. Inhale, and as you exhale, hinging forward, bringing your cheek, or bringing your forehead towards the mat, bringing that left arm behind your back, and then looking towards the right, and just gently placing your cheek on the mat. We're not putting our weight on our cheek here, just gently placing our cheek on the mat to get this nice neck stretch. And our next inhale, bringing our right fingertips on the right side of our head perhaps, and pressing up. Back into Thunderbolt, arm comes up overhead, inhale, and then hinging back at the waist, bringing our forehead towards the mat. Our right arm comes behind us to the small of our back, and this time our right cheek comes down, just gently placing it on the mat. And as we're in this pose, breathing intentionally to those spaces, we're getting a good stretch. And then bringing your left fingertips on the left side of your head, perhaps, and then gently pressing up, bringing your body up. Left arm comes up into the sky. Inhale, and as you exhale, hinging forward, forehead comes down towards the mat. Left arm comes behind us. And this time we'll gently put our left cheek down on the mat. Breathing into the stretch. And bringing your right fingertips to the right side of your head and just using them to help bring your body back up. Inhale, bring your arm overhead, your right arm overhead, and exhale, hinging at the waist, bringing that right arm towards the small of your back. Forehead comes down towards the mat, and this time bringing your right cheek down to the mat. Just gently placing your right cheek on the mat, not putting too much force on that part of our body, just getting a gentle stretch here. Bringing your left fingertips to the mat, pressing back up, coming back to neutral for just a moment. Arms come to our sides, and we'll sit back down on our legs for just a moment. And here we can just gently drop our head to the front, breathing into that space in the back part of our neck. Inhale, and exhale. And gently lifting our chin, our gaze comes up towards the sky, and just gently dropping our head, not in a forceful way. Just feeling that space that we can create on all sides of our neck as we stretch. Coming back to neutral, gaze comes forward. All right, so we will come back into a tabletop position. Knees underneath our hips, hands directly underneath our shoulders. Just pausing here for a moment. We're going to prepare to come into a modified plank here, and then slowly lowering our body down onto our bellies. So bringing your hands about a hand width in front of you, perhaps, so you can sink down into that straight line between your knees, all the way to the tip of your head, crown of your head, sinking down, elbows grazing your ribs, coming down all the way onto your belly. And bringing your forehead, just resting it on the mat or maybe on your right or left cheek. Bring your arms at either sides of your body and just resting here for a moment. Prepare to come into baby cobra. So next, bringing your hands directly underneath your shoulders, elbows tucked in. As you inhale, using your core and back muscles to lift your upper body just up a bit into your baby cobra. And if you want to test and see if you're using your belly and back muscles, maybe just bringing your hands off the mat for just a moment and seeing if you are truly using those back muscles. And if you need to keep your hands there to help you with this stretch, please do so. And slowly coming back down onto the opposite cheek. Just a moment, arms at either sides. Prepare to come into cobra, baby cobra one more time. Bring your hands directly underneath our shoulders. Head is straight ahead, facing straight ahead. Inhale, pressing up with our core muscles, core and back muscles into our baby cobra. Elbows tucked in. Inhale, exhale, just holding this pose for one more moment and slowly lowering back down. Okay, so for our next pose, we'll come into Sphinx, and I wanted to give you an option of using a rolled up blanket if you wanted to try that for a more restorative Sphinx pose. So with your blanket rolled up, if you don't have a bolster, but you can use a bolster also, bringing it into your chest and then tucking your elbows on the other side of it. Forearms are extended, palms are facing down to the floor. This is one way that you can come into a restorative Sphinx pose. It's a little extra support from a rolled up blanket or maybe a bolster. Gaze is forward, feeling that stretch in your back. Continuing to breathe into it. When you are ready, taking some more time there if you need to, if you would like to stay. If you're ready to come back down, belly all the way down onto one cheek or the other. Bring your arms on either side. Just rest for a moment. When you're ready, bring your hands underneath your shoulders and we'll press back into child's pose. All the way back. This time, if you want to make your knees wider to the width of the mat, you can. If you still have that blanket handy and you want to try using it for support underneath you, you can tuck it in between your body, like your legs are on either side of it. And as you sink down, like you're hugging that blanket. If you have that blanket in front of you, more than likely you have to turn your cheek one side or the other. If you're in just regular child's pose, bringing your forehead down to the mat, extending your arms in front of you, palms facing down to the mat, feeling that extension in your upper back, your shoulder area. Just surrendering in this pose. Here I like to think about focusing my breathing into the back body. This is a place and a good position that we can do so. We can feel all that space in our back body that is available to us now. Perhaps breathing directly into that space. space in our back body. Okay, so when you're ready, coming back to tabletop. Okay. From our tabletop position, we will come into a modified version of triangle. So to do so, coming onto your knees, and I'm going to switch positions. So I'm actually facing the side of my mat. And with your left leg behind you, keeping your left leg behind you, bringing your right leg out perpendicular. Right toes are facing towards the front of your mat. Your left knee and your hips are facing towards the side of your mat. And having your block ready, or maybe your water bottle, something that you can use for a little lift. Bringing that to the inner part of your right arm or right leg. Bring your left arm up into the sky, and then we'll sink down towards our right foot with our block. Maybe we have a water bottle. We want to use this. This gives us some different way of doing triangle from the floor. Kind of opens our hips up, opens our shoulders. If you want to bring your left hand and placing it on the small of your back, you can. Opening those shoulders. Continue to breathe. And then coming back up, switching your legs. So this time bringing your right knee down and the right foot is behind you. And then bringing your left leg open. Left toes are facing towards the back of your mat. And having your blocker water bottle handy on the left side of your body. So we inhale, bringing our left arm up into the air, and then just tilting slightly down towards the floor. Right fingertips up towards the sky, gaze up towards the sky. Feeling our shoulders nice and open here. Maybe bringing our right hand, placing on the small of our back. And gently coming back up, back onto both knees. Okay. So we'll come back onto our knees, knees all the way together, feet together behind us, sitting back once again on our legs like this. And we'll come into two different poses from here. We'll come into rabbit's pose first and then camel. So for rabbit's pose, having your the palms of either hand on top or somehow holding onto your heels perhaps, and then bring your body into like a little ball. Arms at either sides of your legs, hands holding on to either your heels or maybe just part of your foot. Head comes down towards the mat. Breathing in and out. And our next inhale, lifting our bottom up into the air and gently placing our head on the mat in front of us, not putting too much pressure on it. It's a wonderful pose to compress our abdominal organs. Wonderful for our thyroid. And then bringing your bottom back down, coming back into that little ball. And lifting your body up for just a moment. We'll come back down into rabbit's pose one more time. So the palms of your hands on top of your heels or on the side of your feet. Bring your body into a little ball. Arms at either sides of your legs. As you inhale, lifting your bottom up. Just gently placing your head on the mat. Breathing into this pose. We'll feel it through our shoulders too. Slowly lowering your bottom back down. Coming back up. Gaze comes forward. Okay, we'll prepare for camel pose next. So lifting your body back up onto your knees, legs right next to each other, knees next to each other. Nice and tall from your knees all the way to the crown of your head. Now bringing your hands and placing them just on the small of your back and kind of tucking your elbows behind you as well. And as you inhale, just dropping your shoulders down just a tad, your gaze comes up a little higher and your hips come forward, almost like a little back bend we're doing here. And if you would like to try to reach your heels, if that is there for you, if that's in your practice, you can try that. Coming all the way down. Oh, have to reach there. Continue to breathe into your pose wherever you are. And slowly coming back, coming out of your pose into a neutral position. We're doing a shoulder roll to prepare you for the second time around. Legs together, palms either on the small of your back or to begin with, starting there on the small of your back. Gaze comes up towards the sky. Inhale, slowly lowering those shoulders behind you just a tad. Hips come forward. And just staying here for another breath or two, if you would like. Camel's pose, heart is open to the skies here. And then slowly coming out of your pose, back to a neutral pose. Coming back down to seated, we'll bring our legs out in front of us. Sitting up nice and tall. Now, if you have a strap, you can use it here, but you don't. It's not necessary. You don't need to use a strap. But one of the ways you can use a strap to come into a forward fold here is bringing the strap right below the balls of your feet, perhaps, and holding onto your strap on either side of your legs, or you can hold it together. So as you inhale, nice and tall, all the way to the crown of your head, and as you exhale, hinging forward, coming down a little bit farther on every exhale. Using your strap, maybe climbing the rope to bring yourself a little bit farther down into the stretch. Perhaps your hands are on either sides of your legs or coming towards your feet. Continuing to breathe. Feeling the stretch in our hamstrings. Compressing our abdominal organs once again, kind of stimulating that part of our body. When you're ready, walking your hands back up, all the way up. And we'll keep our strap connected, if we have a strap, onto our right leg. Then we'll bend our left leg to the side. The foot, or the sole of our foot, is on the inner part of our right thigh. Holding onto that strap, or just bringing your arms to either side of your right leg. As you inhale, prepare to forward fold on your exhale, coming towards that right foot. Hips are nice and square to that right foot. Kind of isolating the right hamstring here in this forward fold. When you're ready, walking your hands back up. Nice, sitting up nice and tall. If you have a strap, keeping it on that right foot, holding onto it with your right hand. And then opening your left hip, your left knee. So your hips are probably about 45 degrees, or maybe a little bit farther open to where your right leg is extended to. So sitting up nice and tall, nice, your base is a little bit wider here than before. Your left arm comes out to the left side. Inhale, bringing that left arm up into the air. And as you exhale, tilting towards that right foot. Here we can acknowledge the space in our left side body. And we can breathe into that space if we would like. Just some side breathing here. Maybe bringing your left arm to the small of your back if that feels good. And gently coming back up. Switching your legs. This time your left leg is extended. Right leg is crossed in front of you. Sole of your foot on the inner part of your left leg. If you have a strap, you'd like to use it. Connecting it again to your left foot. Hips are square to your left foot. As you inhale, sitting up nice and tall, and prepare to sink forward on your exhale, or to hinge forward. Wonderful to see some more people that have joined. Continue to breathe into the stretch, isolating that left hamstring. And walking your hands back up, sitting up nice and tall. If you still have a strap connected to that left leg, you can keep it there. And then opening your base, opening your hips up to the right, but keeping that right leg tucked in. Right arm comes out to the side. As we inhale, bring our right arm overhead. As we exhale, tilting towards that left leg. Feeling a space created on the right side body. Perhaps even breathing into that space. And some side breathing here. Maybe bringing your right hand to the small of your back. If that feels good. And slowly coming back up. Sitting up nice and tall. Okay. So next we'll lay down on our backs for just a moment. So coming down nice and slow, maybe holding onto the backs of your legs, vertebrae by vertebrae. Coming all the way down onto your back. And perhaps getting a good lower back massage, holding your legs into your body, rocking from side to side here. We'll prepare to come into legs up the wall or just legs up into the air pose. So if you have a wall available and you would like to use it, you can. We'll show you both ways that you can do this pose, and we're going to do it for about 3 minutes. Of course, if you would like to do it longer or shorter, please do so, making this practice your own. So if you don't have a wall space available, if you want to just keep your legs up in the air for this inversion pose, you can do so, just arms rested on either side of you and staying there. Or if you would like to use a wall space, one of the best ways that I can come into legs up the wall pose so I can get my bottom as close to the wall as possible is coming up to it sideways, lowering down. And when I'm here, bringing my legs up and shifting my body, I'm using the wall to shift my body. And my bottom is pretty close to the wall here. So I'll do this for 3 minutes. It's a wonderful restorative pose to help our body with circulation, perhaps helping with any fluid buildup that often happens in our feet and legs. And just a wonderful, relaxing pose. And if you like this pose and you like to do it on your own, you can do it for as long as you like, up to 15 minutes. Some people do it. About halfway into our 3 minutes here. Getting close here. Just a few more breaths. And taking a deep inhale. And as you exhale, perhaps a sigh, letting it all go. Okay. So coming out of the pose as you came into it, perhaps to come away from the wall. We'll start to wind down onto our mat. So slowly lowering ourselves down onto the mat. Actually, I'm going to bring my block. We're going to do one more pose. I'll give an option for the block if you would like to have it handy. So we'll come into bridge pose, and you can do bridge pose, engaging those quads, and engaging those glutes, or you can come into it for a more restorative pose. So it's up to you how you would like to do your bridge pose. Feet planted on the ground below you, arms at either side, palms facing down. Inhale, lifting up, engaging those glutes, engaging those quads. And you can bring that block underneath where your tailbone is, and you can either have it lifted a little bit or even flat. So you decide how you'd like to do your bridge pose here for a few more breaths. Heart open to the skies. Palms open for receiving. Perhaps. When you're ready to come out of your bridge pose, please do so, lowering your back all the way, bottom all the way down to the floor. And we'll bring our knees into our chest one more time, hugging our knees with our arms, maybe rocking back and forth. And extending that right leg down below us, keeping our left leg bent up and towards our chest, holding on to our knee, below the knee actually, rolling your ankle perhaps to the left and then to the right. And from here, keeping your right hand on your left knee, extending that right arm out to a T, gently bringing that right knee across your body, and just letting it rest towards the floor, perhaps bringing your arms out to a T, your right arm out to a T, breathing into the stretch. Perhaps we feel this is a lower lumbar twist. Maybe you feel it in your left hip flexor or glute. That's where I often feel it. Just breathing into the stretch. When you're ready, bringing your left arm across your body, coming over to your right side, and just placing that left hand on the right hand for just a moment, pausing. And then opening that left arm back up, slowly across your body, opening it back up to a T. And just noticing if we've felt that spine shift, the stretch to our upper thoracic spine. When you're ready, coming out of the stretch, coming back to neutral, maybe bringing both knees back into your chest for just a moment. And extending that left leg down below you. Right knee up to your chest, interlocking your fingers below that right knee. Maybe doing a couple shoulder ankle rolls, one direction and then the other. Then keeping that left hand up on that right knee, right arm comes out to a T, crossing that left knee over our body to the left. Keeping that right arm extended, maybe extending that left arm as well. Coming into this lower lumbar spinal twist. Breathing into the stretch. And bringing that right hand all the way across, nice and slow. Meeting with the left hand, pausing for just a moment as we're on our left side. And then we'll open that arm back up, slowly opening it back up. Bringing our arms back to a T. Just acknowledging perhaps a shift in that spinal stretch. Maybe we feel it in our upper thoracic spine. And then slowly coming back to neutral. Pausing here for just a moment, perhaps with your knees back into your chest, before we come into our full Savasana pose. Slowly bringing our legs down below us. Arms at either side of our body. Giving ourselves this opportunity to rest and rebuild at the end of our practice. Perhaps just checking in with our body and our sensations or feelings. And taking a few more breaths, or as long as you need in your Savasana pose. Perhaps a nice full breath in. And as you exhale, perhaps letting a sigh out, just letting it all go. When you're ready to bring small movements back to your body, wiggling fingers and toes. And gently rolling over to one side. Maybe resting your hands on your head on your hands for a pillow. When you're ready, coming back up to seated. I'll come up to the camera, but sitting up nice and tall at the end of your practice. If you need a few more minutes, please take as much time as you need. And just closing out your practice however you would like to. I would like to say, Miigwech, thank you for joining me today